It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Friday, January 30th. I'm Mac Watson. Things got heated at Representative Harriet Hageman's town hall in Thermopolis on Thursday. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that most people just yelled at each other rather than yelling at the representative.
There was a little bit of jeering, groaning, shouting at Representative Hageman. The two sides of the room really jeered and attacked each other. There would be someone who just attacked Hageman, like, how dare you this, how dare you that? And the people on the other side of the room, at the antique piano were like, ask a question and move on so the rest of us can get in here. And then this happened a few times. And one time a guy stormed out, on his cane, and the people on the other side of the room said, get the hell out of here. She gave measured responses to a lot of the accusations against her, but she was not afraid to tangle with people and engage in a way that's very reminiscent of her trial lawyer history.
Cowboy State Daily did ask the representative if she has a solution for the lack of transparency among federal policing agencies working on the Wind River Indian Reservation. Hageman replied she had been working toward establishing economic development and safety and security in tribal country. Protesters surrounded ICE vehicles at the Four Points Sheraton Hotel in Rock Springs and prevented officers from leaving on the hotel parking lot on Thursday. Cowboy State Daily's Justin George reports that Rock Springs police responded to help the federal officers who left town after police removed the blockade.
They were eating at the time, actually, when people found out that ICE officers were there. They gathered in the parking lot. Looked to be a small group from videos that I could say a very small group. Apparently, they would try to block officers from leaving in their SUVs and may have blocked the exits as well. So these officers were trying to leave. Rock Springs police came upon request from ICE and helped sort of clear the path. And the statement from police said the ICE agents were trying to get out of town. So they were not apparently at that time looking to do any sort of enforcement actions or anything in Rock Springs. They were just looking to get out of town.
The standoff was just the latest clash between ICE and protesters taking place in the nation, with tensions at all-time highs since federal officers shot and killed two protesters in Minnesota this month, including 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy on Saturday. In 3 days, Teton County Search and Rescue responded to 3 snowmobiling incidents. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that there have been 2 fatalities, both involving snowmobiles that collided with trees.
Teton County Search and Rescue has responded to 4 incidents that involve fatalities this year, and 2 of those fatalities occurred within a few days of each other. We don't have a lot of specifics at this point. I know a lot of people are answering questions. All we know is that the common thread between the 2 incidents is that the people died after sustaining injuries from hitting a tree with a snowmobile while they were out on a snowmobiling tour. And I got that confirmed with the Teton County coroner. We don't know what other extraneous circumstances might have contributed to that, but the people I spoke to said that it's not the best year for snowmobiling in terms of the snowpack because there's not a lot of fresh, loose snow, which is what you want for snowmobiling. And a lot of people can underestimate the power of snow machines in general. They've increased in their capability and reliability exponentially in the last 20 years.
Will Mook, co-owner of the Mountain Riding Lab in Jackson, is an experienced snowmobiler. He tells Cowboy State Daily that the less than perfect snow and heavy traffic might be subtly encouraging people to seek out pristine and more hazardous routes. Rock Springs City Councilman Rick Malonis says the new city flag designed by a 17-year-old student is a, quote, terrible fit for the community, unquote. Cowboy State Daily's Kate Meadows reports that Councilman Malonis was the only dissenting vote as the city council adopted the new flag in an 8-1 vote.
Mayor Max Mickelson of Rock Springs put out a call for a flag contest open to grades K through 12. He asked students to submit artwork for a city flag. He said Rock Springs has never had a city flag. This was a good way to engage the youth of the community, to really show them that their voice matters. One councilman said on Facebook that the flag resembles the flag of Somalia, and said it looked like it belonged in a third world country. He also called the flag "but ugly."
Now, last fall, Rock Springs students were invited to design a new city flag that captured the theme, many cultures, one community, Rock Springs together. I'll be back with more news from Cowboy State Daily right after this.
Food Bank of Wyoming ignites the power of community to help nourish people facing hunger. With 1 in 6 Wyomingites currently experiencing food insecurities, we work in your communities, providing over 1 million meals a month statewide. And because of our relationships with local, regional, and national suppliers, as well as volunteers like you, we get the right foods where and when they're needed. Visit us online and learn how you can help feed Wyoming today and beyond.
Cowboy State Daily News continues now. Admitting he stabbed a 14-year-old boy in the back last August during a brawl north of Riverton, Alejandro Behan pleaded guilty on Thursday to second-degree murder in a Lander courtroom. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that the 22-year-old admitted to the attack.
He's accused of stabbing a 14-year-old in the back during a big brawl. And he said in court, I stabbed a guy in the back. He said he knew it could kill him and that it was part of a big fight where he believed knives would be present. There was some verbal sparring over Snapchat ahead of that and like gossip, like there's going to be a fight this place. And this is Honor Farm Road, so it's close to a prison farm and next to a ranch house.
The next step for Behan of Riverton is sentencing in early April. The date of that sentencing hearing has not been set. Wyoming tourism leaders are hailing the Rodeo Hall of Fame's vote to move from Colorado to Cheyenne as a game changer for the industry and the state. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that leaders are projecting a $250 million economic impact over 10 years while boosting rodeo culture across the state.
Talked with Dominic Bravo about that. He's the Office of Tourism head, the new guy. He was saying that he could see just the presence prompting people to come up with events integrated across communities or coordinated across the state with various communities. Got rodeo in just about every community in Wyoming. Cody Night Rodeo, Du Bois, this rodeo every Friday night. Sheridan has the Wyo Rodeo with a year-round destination that the PRCA is envisioning here. It's not just the Hall of Fame, the headquarters. It was a cultural shopping district, a year-round destination. Then you add in, all the other things Cheyenne has been doing.
Retired bullfighter Mark Gill tells Cowboy State Daily that previously the Hall of Fame was dependent on happenstance traffic and attracted about 35,000 visitors annually in Colorado. But when it's sitting at a cross-country intersection like the I-80 and I-25, he believes that foot traffic is going to go up. Way up. Students at the University of Wyoming say they aren't waiting for the legislature to finalize its budget before fighting back against cuts they worry could slash funding by 15%. Cowboy State Daily's David Madison reports that they say the cuts will hurt UW's ability to generate future revenue for Wyoming.
They're saying, why ruin a good thing? Over the decades, the state has invested a significant amount in making this a world-class university. Why throw it all away? What they want to point out is not so much an alternative plan, but just the effects of these cuts, that it's not just $40 million off the top, that has a knock-on effect. You're going to scare away the best professors who bring in lots of grant money. You're going to scare away the best students. The University of Wyoming is putting out great research that turns into jobs. It's turning out great teachers who go back to their communities and teach the next generation. It really is a rallying cry among students and faculty saying this is uncalled for.
Legislators on the Joint Appropriations Committee voted January 13th to cut $40 million from UW's block grant. That's roughly 11% of what the university receives from the state. The new crop of grizzly cubs that will emerge this spring to the delight of visitors in Yellowstone have likely already been born, researchers say. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that a long-term study basically nailed down January as the month when most grizzly cubs in Yellowstone are born.
Researchers have had a general idea of when grizzly cubs are actually born. They've done some extensive research in Yellowstone National Park and some other locations, and they kind of narrowed it down to in Yellowstone, it seems like January is a month. nearly every bear cub born in Yellowstone Park is born in January. And it's just kind of a sweet spot timing where they're not being born so early that when spring comes, they're just too small to survive outside the den. What they did is they outfitted some of the female bears with these motion sensing collars, because they found from observing captive bears that right after the moment of birth, the mother bear will sit up and lick herself and lick the cubs clean. And so that little spike in activity would register on the motion sensing collars, and they'd go, that's when it's happening. That's when they're giving birth.
Grizzly expert Cecily Costello tells Cowboy State Daily that previously biologists had to make assumptions about bear birth dates across a broad time frame. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting that daily newsletter button at cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel or listen to us on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for watching. I'm Mac Watson for Cowboy State Daily.